uh, uh, Happy holidays, Anne.
Happy
And
holidays.
uh, and I'm late wishing you Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and joyous Kwanzaa and all the holidays. But let me get in an early Happy New Year.
Thank you. Even this will air on the 4th, but
Okay, but it should tip everybody off to the fact that we are recording this between the 25th of December and the 1st of January.
correct.
And eagle-eyed viewers may realize that you are not in your usual place. Tell us where you are, Anne.
I am in Sugar Land, Texas, which is outside of Houston. And I'm here visiting my mother for Christmas, and my brother Nick is here as well. And I am in the home office space slash workout room. So my brother's rowing machine is behind me, and then the weight bench is in my room since I lift weights. So we have
Okay,
exercise equipment
wow,
all over the top floor.
awesome. That's fantastic. So you're getting your work in. I'm going to confess, I haven't been to the gym in several weeks. I had a very we're just vamping till we get to the questions, but I had a very traumatic back problem.
No.
Yes, it was before. Actually, it was before you last saw me
Okay.
because we saw each other on the 20th of December at the NOIR City Christmas show in Oakland, where I fondly recall we threw all caution to the wind and actually had a kiss on the lips.
Yes.
COVID be damned. That was nice. And but the Friday before that, I did a show in Vallejo.
Hmm.
Um, were you? Did you? You didn't go to that, did you?
I was gonna go, and I had a really terrible cold, so I didn't go. But Nathan and I were gonna go together, but we wound up canceling.
Okay, well, not to make you feel bad, Anne, but I actually woke up that morning and I could not walk. So, but I am nothing if not a trooper. So I managed to get myself to the doctor, and she prescribed some medication that got me through that event that night, and that was wonderful because Nick Rossi did such a spectacular job setting that whole thing up, and we did a great book signing, and Nick and I had a conversation on stage that was a little more in depth and involved than what I usually get to do, and it was really fun. And then we showed Pitfall because we were in Vallejo, California, and the theater, the Empress Theater, is actually in the exact neighborhood where Raymond Burr grew up. Raymond Burr's from Canada, but he grew up. His family raised him in Vallejo, California. So we showed Pitfall as the movie, and I gotta say, it was a spectacular show. Capacity in the Empress Theater 440, and we filled every seat, and
Right.
it was really great. And but I wasn't actually in pain during the show, but it was kind of traumatic. So I'm still kind of recovering from that back injury, which is why when I was signing books at North City Christmas, you noted that I did all that standing up
Yeah.
because it's much easier than doing it sitting down, frankly. So and that was a really good show too. That was terrific. Got a lot of nice compliments on that. So we showed Cover Up, which lo and behold, little did I know when we planned to show Cover Up that TCM would program it like the night before.
Oh no.
So this happens every so often, where it's like, geez, it's not like they confer with me on their programming.
No.
Like, but that was interesting. So you have to be careful because it's Christmas, and so they're going to look for Jeremy Arnold, our colleague Jeremy Arnold, programmed that as his, because he wrote a book on Christmas
Yeah.
movies, and he showed Cover Up as his Christmas movie that night, and lo and behold, I'm happy to say it didn't stop 400 and some odd good souls, from coming out to the Grand Lake in Oakland for that show. So that was great.
And thank you to everybody who came out for that. And because it was NOIR City Christmas, we released our schedule for NOIR City 21, which is coming up in January at the Oakland's Grand Lake Theater. So at noircity.com, we've got the full schedule posted. You can buy tickets to individual screens there. Everything's double feature. There you go. Here's Imogen.
There, I'm trying to do it so that the light. There we go. There we go. There's the poster with the fabulous Imogen Sarah Smith, who is not just Ms. Noir City on the poster this year, but Imogen is actually the co-programmer of this year's festival, and she will be on hand to co-host much of the festival with me.
Yeah,
so
and can you let people know? Sorry,
go right ahead.
Can you let people know who Imogen is in case they don't know?
I find that hard to believe.
Well,
the fabulous Imogen Smith is, well, foremost, she is the new editor-in-chief of the Noir City magazine, but she is also, in my estimation, one of, if not the finest writer on film, not just film noir, but film in general today. And I call her the queen of the Criterion Collection, because she has become like their leading not spokesperson, just her as a commentator. She does so much fabulous work for Criterion, and I'm happy to say we have both known her for many years now, and she just gets better and better, and at what she does, and I'm just really excited that she, for many years now, she has set aside time on her calendar to come out and attend the Noir City Festival. And given that, I just figured like it was high time for her. And she has co-hosted the occasional film with me at the festival. But when I asked her if she would entertain the notion of being on the poster, I was so happy that she was all for it. And really, she was great. She was a great model. And shooting those posters is not really easy. It's kind of, it can be challenging if you're not used to doing that kind of thing. And I know that Imogen is not a model, and although she could be, but she's not. And she just got it. Instantaneously, she understood what was necessary, because it anyway, I won't go into great detail about it, but she was great. And it was funny because this outfit that she's wearing in the poster was the very last thing we had her try on as a possible outfit. And we honestly didn't think a regular sized human being could fit into that outfit.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be so slender. And she just looked like $1 million when she put that thing on. And it was like, okay, that's the one.
Well, I liked the dress because it looks like her style.
Exactly. Well,
that's actually very similar to what she wears.
Precisely. And, when we do this, we try to kind of take all that into account. We don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable when they're modeling for the poster. And so we do try to take the woman's personal style into account when we're doing this. And it really just worked brilliantly. And we've had it since then. We've actually sent it to Imogen, sent the dress, the whole thing to her, so she could have it appropriately tailored. Because when you're doing something for a poster, it's like movie magic. You know, there are safety pins and things
Yeah.
involved in getting it to look just right and take all the wrinkles out and all of that stuff. But we had it. It was a little. The skirt part of it was a little long, and so we sent it to her because we said you should wear this on opening night, and so she had it taken up a little bit. And anyway, looks great. The color was exactly. This was the rare instance where we actually used the color that the dress was.
Oh, it wasn't
It
changed.
was it was not altered in Photoshop or anything, which we Bill Selby, who does all that work, he Bill is always telling me. I said, I don't know if I like this. He goes, don't worry about it. We'll change it in Photoshop.
Yeah.
But in this case, we looked at it. And we said, no, we really like this. And actually, the dress became the motif for the color of the poster. So the color of the head on Noir City and all that stuff was all done to match the outfit, which is it's not really a dress. It's actually several pieces. It's like a three-piece thing that goes together. It looks really great. This is not what I expected to be talking about
Yeah.
when we started the show.
Okay.
Was like women's clothing, fashion stuff. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I'm just thrilled that Imogen is doing this, and the program. I'm very very excited about the program, uh, which I can talk about now.
Yes, you
You
can.
know, which is half English language films and half foreign language films, but we tried as much as possible to orchestrate double bills in which the films um, shared some kind of DNA, even though they're in different languages. That whether they're both heist films or because everything we do is a double bill, and so either they're both heist films or they're both about a missing person or there's something that connects the films in most cases. There were a couple of instances where a film had to drop out for some reason. There was one film in particular, I'm not going to mention it by name, that we were both dying to show, and something happened last month that removed the film from circulation. I'm sorry to say. So the film that it was going um, to play with was Odd Man Out, and then when we couldn't get it, I was. This is what happens when you're programming these things. I was the very same day that the film dropped out. I got a email from Bruce Goldstein, right, who is the programmer at Film Forum in New York, and also does a lot of work with Rialto and Janus Films and all this stuff. And he was encouraging me to program Victims of Sin, which they have restored in a 4K restoration. And I've shown it before. I
Yeah.
showed it at one of our first international festivals, but because it was a restoration and I know Bruce and it's like he wanted to get a lot of play dates out of this, I said, yeah, great, we'll do that. And I didn't realize that Bruce had also booked it, or not Bruce, but that Rialto or whoever had booked it at the Pacific Film Archive and at the Roxy Cinema and all this stuff. So it's like, but I think
Yeah.
you know what? It's a fantastic film. You can't go wrong programming it anytime, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't thematically work with Odd Man Out. But so
Yeah.
what? It's a good double bill anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people will really enjoy it. I mean, we got a huge, huge reaction the first time we screened it. So I think
Yes.
people will want to see a second time, and hopefully people that saw it before will get their friends to come because it's a fabulous movie.
Well, and you just hit the nail on the head because that's what I've certainly learned over the 25 years I've been programming and stuff is that even though you think, oh no, I showed that already, it's like, yeah, and the reaction was really, really good. And so all those people who loved it will encourage, just as you said, will encourage their friends, family, and loved ones to come see this amazing movie. It's like nothing else I've seen. So,
It's incredible. It really is. I'm hoping we'll get a big turnout for it because I think people, it's indescribable. It's just so different from anything I'd seen before.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I'm very much hoping that the festival, I'm crazy about this program, and there's just so much. I was very gratified that as soon the day after we released the schedule, I got a lovely email from a film instructor, film professor back east, who was just so enamored of the program.
Oh,
It was like this is just extraordinary that you're finding these movies that just aren't in circulation. You
yeah.
just really can't find these films anywhere else, and it was not easy. Kudos to Anita Manga, who works with me on booking all of these things, because um, it it can be difficult sometimes, but
Yeah.
we will bend over backwards to bring unseen noir back into the spotlight. So, okay, we
Okay.
have done enough Noir City promo stuff.
One more
Let's
time, in
get
case
to
you
the
came in,
questions.
in case you came in late, the full schedule is at noircity.com. You can buy tickets for the double features, and you can also buy passports, which is a all access pass to the festival. And that guarantees you seating as long as you're at the theater 30 minutes before showtime. And also, it's just a great thing to do for the Film Noir Foundation because it's a big fundraiser for us. So even if you don't think you're going to see all the movies, if you want to get the pass anyway, that would be great. Okay, that's it. NorthCity.com.
Fantastic.
All
Okay,
right,
let's dive in.
let's
Let's
dive in.
let's see what people have on their mind, and
Okay,
who's gonna start off.
I'll start. So
Okay.
this is from DJS. Has the North City Fest ever featured or has Eddie ever spieled about a movie sometimes called a noir, briefly the number one film in the mid 1955, not as a stranger? Your input hereby encouraged.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I know the film in question, but I'm just going to start right off, like, shooting myself in the foot tonight by saying I actually haven't seen it. Uh,
Is it the one with Robert Mitchum?
yes, yes, yes.
He's like a surgeon.
Yeah,
It,
precisely. And I
he's
haven't seen it because I have such a hard time picturing Robert Mitchum as a surgeon. I can picture Robert Mitchum as an ambulance driver, of course, but as a surgeon, I don't know. But that shouldn't stop me from seeing the movie. It's just I just haven't seen it. So I don't have input to share. I'm sorry to say. Anne, have you seen the film?
is that the one with Olivia de Havilland?
I honestly can't remember.
She's the woman, and I think I've never gotten around to it because it
I think
wasn't.
it is Olivia de Havilland. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think I've actually gotten to that one because probably because Robert Mitchum as a surgeon.
as a surgeon, yeah.
I think that
Well,
may be
it's
my
funny,
stumbling
I mean,
block as
there
well.
are there are two. It's weird. Maybe this says something about my upbringing. But if there are two things that are really, really difficult to get me to watch and or read as fiction, and that is things involving doctors and things involving lawyers. Like I do not normally go in for courtroom dramas, right?
Yeah,
With the exception of
Better Call
great,
Saul.
well, but that's not really a courtroom drama,
No,
that
it's they're lawyers, but that's yeah.
but like, okay, I love Witness for the Prosecution,
Oh, I love that movie.
and uh oh God, what was the other one I was just thinking of that's so great? Oh, The Verdict, with Paul Newman, David Mamet's The Verdict, fantastic film. I so those two are courtroom dramas, pretty much.
Yeah, Anatomy
Um,
of a Murder. I like that one.
Anatomy of a Murder is a great one. Thank you. You're right, great one. But doctor stuff, I'm not totally into it. I don't know what that is. I was
Hmm.
not a anyway. Okay, DJS I'm sorry that we got off on the wrong foot here, but
Yeah, sorry.
no input on Not as a Stranger. But now I feel almost obligated that I have to seek it out and watch it just because of that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I see this next question, and I was kind of hoping this wasn't going to come up, but thanks, Anne, for including it in the right
Yeah,
up
well,
at
you
the
said
top.
something on Twitter, so I wanted to get it in there since,
Okay, okay.
I thought,
All right. This is
yes.
from Terry Sullivan. Says this past weekend's episode of Noir Alley, Beware My Lovely, was blocked for those of us who subscribe to YouTube TV. Maybe the second or third time it's happened this year. The message was not available for streaming, so I'm guessing other services were affected as well. Pardon me. Disappointing for those of us who look forward to Noir Alley every weekend. Yeah, I know. I know there is only so much noir inventory out there, but if you could avoid movies that shut out loyal viewers, it would be greatly appreciated. Well, this was quite the kerfuffle. Um, I apologize, Terry, although it really isn't my fault necessarily. Although I will be going forward more attentive about this. The thing that made it so frustrating was I've shown it before, right? I showed Beware My Lovely like 3 years ago or something. I should know more than anyone else that a year, in film terms, it's like dog years. It's
Yeah.
like a year might as well be 7 years given all the legalese. Maybe this is why I don't like movies about lawyers, because lawyers are involved in this kind of nonsense where it's just because well, obviously, let me back up. The reason this happens is because when I started doing this on TCM, I was just booking films for what we call in the business um, the linear network. And linear means that TCM is runs on cable TV 24 hours, and it's linear, right? Something airs at 7 o'clock, it's at 7 o'clock, whatever. As opposed to streaming, where it airs when you push the button. If you want to see something, you push the button and you watch it when you want to watch it. So it's not linear where it's happening and you jump in at the time it's happening. The issue is not every film that is now booked for linear has rights cleared for streaming. So for whatever weird reason, and I'm just going to say this flat out, for the however many people watch this show, who knows, it may get back to the top levels of Warner Brothers Discovery or not. I don't know. But it's doubly, triply, quadruply, and quintuply frustrating because Beware My Lovely is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. Right? So the fact that we couldn't stream this on our own service
Yeah.
is kind of weird to me. Like, what is that about, right? But obviously, somebody who's responsible for this didn't get around to clearing those rights, and unfortunately, this stuff is not conveyed to me when I book the films to start with. So obviously, I booked Beware My Lovely again because it was it was set at Christmas time, and I preceded it with I Wouldn't Be in Your Shoes, the Cornell Woolridge story, which is also a Christmas movie. So I figured I was doing a good job. And then, of course, and I discovered this the same way everybody discovered it. I mean, I sat down to tune in and watch it, and I got the same thing, not available, for streaming. And, I don't like it. I don't like it when that happens. And I've had complaints from people in Canada
Yeah.
and saying, oh, this is only, it's not for North American rights, it's just US rights. And I hate to say it, but I'm not going to say I get pressure, but I am encouraged to book Noir Alley as far in advance as possible. And I don't always know all of these, the what do you call that? The legal rights issues and all this stuff. Like, I don't actually know if it's US rights or Canada. I'm not given that information in advance. I'm just told this movie is available. And then I try to make everybody's job relatively easy because I generally program 44 Noir Alleys a year, right? There's 2 months where I'm not on, so it's like 44 episodes. And I try to make everybody's life easier by programming like 30 that I know are in inventory and that I've been told are good to go. And then I muck around with the other 14 or so and say, can we get this? I really want to show this. I know that we don't have this in a package of films to show, but I really, really want to show it. That's like Flickr Alley stuff that we've restored is in that, uh, just one-offs and things. Like when Nightmare Alley was coming out, it's like I wanted to show the original Nightmare Alley when Del Toro's Nightmare Alley was coming out. And it was like, well, we don't have that in the package deal with Disney right now. See, Disney, not 20th Century Fox. And so all of this stuff just makes it really difficult to know this ahead of time. Anyway, I mean, that's not a mea culpa there, Terry, but um, it's the way the business is now, right? And it's very difficult because of the streaming situation to know what's available, what's really available and what isn't. So yeah, it was available for broadcast on linear, but it was not available for streaming. I didn't know that in advance. There you go. That's it. Case closed.
Okay. Okay, so is that what we just did? So this is from Wes. Just a note to say how much we look forward to the weekly offerings on Nor Alley to hear your insights and thoroughly enjoy the films and your critiques. As I am not a Facebooker, I do not see Ask Eddie live and do have a question regarding A Christmas Noir. Just a quick side note, we do not answer questions live. So you, in fact, submitted your question the way you're supposed to, because as you've probably guessed from our early conversation, we do record these, and I'm usually there unless something weird happens to like just answer comments when we're on Facebook, but then that's it. Okay, sorry, just want to get that in there. Okay, so I do have a question regarding a sort of Christmas noir. You showed it. Oh gosh, sorry. You showed it a number of years ago. It is tale set in a bank that goes in real time. The plot is somewhat extortion-like and has almost Twilight Zone feel in the ambience. I am searching for a copy or at least an opportunity to see it again. Are you able to provide the name of the short but intriguing little film?
You know what that is, right, Ann?
I assume it's the I assume it's a British film.
Yeah, I assume he's talking about Cash on Demand. Yeah,
Cash on
with
Demand.
Andre Morel and Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing. Yeah, it's great.
It's
Great film.
fantastic. And Wes, I'm happy to report that it is on Blu-ray.
Mhm.
I think it's on DVD and Blu-ray.
Mhm.
And so you can find it. But I understand it's difficult when you don't remember the title. When you don't know the title, it's called Cash on Demand, which
Yes,
is a great title for that film.
yes.
Right? I mean, that's a great title for any like bank
just a
robbery movie. Cash
Yeah.
on Demand. It's great.
And it's very much sort of a take on A Christmas Carol for people who haven't seen it. And gosh, Peter Cushing, as always, is so wonderful in it. So yes,
They're both.
they're both.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not exactly what they call in the business a two-hander because, Sleuth, right?
Right.
Joe Mankiewicz's Sleuth is a two-hander. There's only two actors in the movie, right? But this is almost a two-hander. There's a very nice supporting cast, but Andre Morel and Peter Cushing carry this whole thing, and
Hmm.
Andre Morel is as great as Peter Cushing is. Andre Morel kind of steals the movie. He's
Yeah.
fantastic in this film. And these guys have, if you're a Hammer horror fan or anything,
Yeah.
these two guys are just sensational, and it's also fun because when you described it as it's like a noir version of A Christmas Carol,
Yeah.
I wonder how many people see that movie without having heard that in advance and would get that that's what it is. That it clearly is a take on A Christmas, right? And
Yeah.
Peter Cushing is Scrooge,
Yeah.
and it's God damn, it's a great movie. I just
It's a
want to
really
give
great
a
movie.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Rita Belda at Sony Pictures because she restored that film, and she's the one who turned me on to it. We were just talking one day, and I said, "What are you working on?" And she said, "Oh, I'm working on one of my favorite movies, Cash on Demand. Have you ever seen it?" And I said, "I've never even heard of it." And so Rita turned me on to that, and immediately I showed her restoration of the film at Noir City, and it's the perfect Noir City Christmas movie.
Hmm.
And there you go, Wes. That's the answer to your question. It's Cash on Demand.
I love that
I
movie.
love it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take a moment to just say we are showing at Noir City next month another obscure British film about a bank robbery called Strong Room that I'm that I know people don't know anything about it, and it's a very short, very unique film with a very British take on a bank robbery, and these amateur crooks um, try to heist a suburban London bank um, late on a Saturday, and they lock the manager and his secretary in the vault, not realizing that Monday is a holiday. It's Easter holiday,
Oh,
and there won't be enough air in the vault for them to survive. And so the gang has to debate whether or not they want to be bank robbers and murderers or just bank robbers.
yeah.
And so many wonderful noir plot twists ensue
Yeah.
after they realize what has gone haywire. So anyway, it's a tremendous unknown film. So we're showing that next month at Noir City. Okay.
Okay.
Um, Stacy has a question about Kitty Farrell. Oh boy.
Mm.
For those of you who are unaware, that's the children's book that I wrote and it just came out recently. I would like to know if you've always wanted to write a children's book. Your writing is most definitely for grown-ups, so I was wondering if someone approached you about this, or was it an idea you had on your own? Was it hard to make the transition writing for a new audience? I'm happy to say that Stacy thought the book was very cute and an effective way to expose youngsters to film noir. That was the whole point. I hope there are more cases for Kitty to solve in the future. Okay. Yes, Running Press, who published Dark City, the revised and expanded version of Dark City, did approach me about writing this book. I think TCM actually, because Running Press does all the TCM imprint film books, and I think TCM had somebody had the idea for branding a series of books Kid Noir, right? And
Oh, okay.
so that is all they had was just Kid Noir. And let me give a quick shout out to my good buddy Jim Pasco, who years ago created a comic strip called Kid Noir. It was just a one-off about a grade school. It was almost like Peanuts noir, and it was really, really great. And he wrote and drew this thing, and eventually nothing came of it. He gave the original art to me. It hangs in my office. I can't show it to you right now, but that's the kid noir that I know. And I said, yeah, I'll do a kid noir thing if it can be in black and white, because I wanted to introduce kids to black and white imagery and not have them, when they see the films, not have them think that something's wrong. Why is there no color? Um, so that was the genesis of it. I had actually written a children's book before. I'd not only written a children's book, I had written and illustrated a children's book that was laughed out of existence.
Oh no.
Yes, because and this is why I would never have written a children's book were it not for Jessica Schmidt, who was my co-writer on Kitty Farrell, because it was really kind of all her idea, I think, and she sold the publisher on the idea. And without her knowledge of the children's book world, I probably would have made, one mistake after another, and lost my enthusiasm for it. Because my first experience with this was also a cat book, but it was about a little girl and her travails trying to rescue a stray cat. And I included in this book, this is the only time I've ever really discussed this, but if not on Ask Eddie, when would I talk about it, right? So a big part of the story, and this is based on a real thing with Kathleen and I, my wife Kathleen and I, who rescued a stray cat one time. And basically the story was, I transposed it to a small child instead of two grown adults. But when we rescued this cat, we were told by the veterinarian the cat was so weak, and the cat was also pregnant, that you have your choice. If this cat gives birth to these kittens, it probably isn't going to survive. The mother cat isn't probably going to survive, because she's just too weak and screwed up. I mean, she was really a beaten up cat, and we trapped her to save her, and we kind of knew she was pregnant when we did that, and that's part of the reason we were able to trap her, because she needed the water. This cat was so smart, she knew how to get the food out of the trap without setting it off, but she couldn't get the water out. She had to actually enter the trap. And then, we had planned to just trap her and get her healthy again and then set her loose. And then, only because the veterinarian ran out of dissolvable stitches and told us, as we took this feral cat back home to set it back in the basement where it was living, that he said, you have to bring her back in because I have to remove the stitches. And I said, didn't you get the message? This is a feral cat, And the cat like destroyed the whole room when we took her in there. I mean, when the cat got out of the cage, she tore everybody apart and everything else. So the doctor said, we strongly suggest just aborting these kittens and seeing what you can do for the cat.
Yeah.
Which we did. And that was part of my story in the children's book. And of course, everybody, my agent was like, are you insane? There is no way you can do this in a children's book. I said, well, isn't it teaching kids like stewardship of, and the stuff they're going to have to face in the real world and everything? And they said, Eddie, all this is just a pro-abortion. That's all this is. That's the only way it'll be read. Children have nothing to do with this. This is not a book for children. This is adults make these decisions, and no one is going to accept this in a story aimed at children. Yeah. So one copy of that book exists, the one that I created. right? That I
Yeah.
wrote and drew. That's it. So, so that was that. Uh, anyway, so yes, I hope there are more Kitty Farrell adventures in the future.
And she
Guarantee
will
that
not be having an abortion.
Kitty Farrell will not be having an abortion in the future. No, that ain't gonna work. So
Oh,
anyway,
shoot. Okay.
yeah, that's our world.
That's our world. God forbid.
Okay,
Okay.
I want to share something with the audience who maybe bought Noir Bar. You probably have seen me drinking my martini here this evening.
Yes.
I want to show you a little secret. This is the mixing glass in which I made my martini,
Yes.
and this is the sidecar,
Ah,
which is actually a little chemical beaker that is filled with more martini. So
very clever.
yeah, what you do is you make enough for two, and then you put the beaker in the ice that you made the drink in, and then you have another perfectly chilled martini ready to go. There you go. Okay, next
Very
question.
clever, Eddie. This is from Bonnie B. I visited the LA area in June and found time to spend 2 to 3 hours at the Academy of Motion Pictures Museum. I was very disappointed with the complete lack of recognition of genre films, and every visitor to ask Eddie knows what genre was most obviously absent. What's your take on the museum and the scant recognition of film noir?
um, right off, I guess people need to recognize that that is not a permanent museum. That is a rotating museum with different exhibits that rotate throughout. So it would be not correct to say that they're not recognizing certain things. They're just not recognizing them yet. So obviously, given that my colleague Jacqueline Stewart is the creative director of that museum, if you don't think I have already told Jacqueline there needs to be an exhibit about film noir, uh, that has happened. When that will happen, I have no idea. And I also want to add that Jacqueline, I would not trade places with her for all the money in the world, because being the creative director of a museum is one of the more political jobs that you could possibly have. And I have absolutely uh, complete and utter faith in Jacqueline's commitment to cinema, and that she is a fabulous steward for this. Not a steward for this, but a steward for this. And but I wouldn't I could not I could not withstand the political infighting and all that kind of stuff that goes on about what rates an exhibit and what doesn't, and how are we going to do. It's just mm, that stuff drives me nuts. So I'm hoping that there will one day be some kind of noir exhibit, and that's all I can say. You know, um, uh, there. I love the John Waters exhibit. You know, I that it's a work in progress. The museum is a work in progress, at which, quite honestly, is what museums should be. I mean, they should be an ever evolving kind of thing, and a museum should be a place for people to go and have a forum to discuss these things. So um, that's my hope. That's what will be coming down the pike. Is more film screenings, uh, appearances by filmmakers and craftspeople and all this kind of stuff, and exhibits that focus on the work that goes into making motion pictures, not just tributes to the directors, but tributes to the production designers and cinematographers and all kinds of stuff. So I'm certain that's the direction it's headed.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Kenny from Ohio says, I've recently gotten into the genre. Good. Picking up many Bogart films on Blu-ray. My question is, number one, what is the oldest film noir you have seen? That's interesting. Let's deal with that first, and then we'll get to
Okay.
question number two. And what do you think is the oldest film noir that you've seen?
That's a good question because if we're going strictly like classic period film noir, or are we talking about maybe something like from the silent period that I would still kind of consider film noir? Because there's
Yeah.
definitely some silent films that I felt that like Dartmoor Cottage.
Yes, yes, yeah. Well, that's kind of when I read this question. That's kind of
Okay, so
what
that's
I thought he would. I'm not
okay.
sure because I also have to be careful because he said he's recently gotten into the genre.
Yeah,
So I don't want to, I don't want to confuse the issue by getting outside the parameters of the film noir movement, right? Which was
Mhm.
like 1941, 40, 41, to the mid to late 50s. But obviously, we have the great good fortune of living in the San Francisco Bay Area, so we've attended so many editions of the San Francisco Silent Film
Yeah,
Festival, where I've had the privilege of introducing a lot of movies for the exact reason that the programmer feels that this is kind of film noir, and so they asked me to introduce it and to put it in that perspective. In which case, I would say that probably the oldest film that I've introduced at that festival that I would consider film noir was this Todd Browning movie, I think from 1920, called Outside the Law, with
mhm.
uh, oh my God, I'm going to draw a blank now on her. Priscilla Dean was the actress who was the star of that film, and she's a trip. I mean, fabulous, unknown to me before I saw this movie, and an extraordinary performer and career. And it was like a Dashiell Hammett story set in San Francisco. Chinatown intrigue and the cops, and Priscilla Dean was like a ne'er do well bank, not a bank robber, a jewel robber and stuff. Anyway, it was very very interesting film. So if you're talking about noir outside the parameters of the accepted era, I would say probably 1920 or so. And I'm sure somebody could argue there's something even earlier. And then, of course, there's all that late silent era films, the von Sternberg films like
Yeah,
Underworld and Thunderbolt and Docks of New York and all that stuff. And the movie you mentioned, A Cottage on Dartmoor, that's a British film, I think from 29, I think
mhm.
it was, by Anthony Asquith, which is just a fantastic movie.
Great film.
Um, yeah, very, very much like an Alfred Hitchcock movie that he didn't make.
Mhm.
Um, so, that's what I'd say. Otherwise, I would say if you're thinking about classic film noir stuff, I would say 1940, The Stranger on the Third Floor,
Yeah,
from RKO
yeah,
is like there are earlier ones made in America, right? I mean, You Only Live Once, the Fritz Lang movie. Uh,
I don't really think of that as a noir. I know people always call it that, but it just doesn't feel like a noir to me.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you. I mean, I'm citing it, but and
Yeah.
there are pre-code movies that I consider kind of very noirish, but putting a label on stuff, it's like it's all post facto, and it's like, well, that's a pre-code movie. We don't want to muddy the waters by saying it's film noir if it's now considered to be pre-code and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, moving on.
Moving
Uh,
on.
Kenny asks, for younger film noir fans who have not seen many films, what is the legacy of Humphrey Bogart and James Cagney in the genre of film noir?
Oh gosh.
Um,
That's
The
huge, huge. I guess this would be my answer. Their legacy is huge.
Well, it's interesting. I
Yeah.
would say that I would say there is no way that you can overstate the significance of Humphrey Bogart
Absolutely.
to film noir. It is impossible to overstate how profoundly he influenced the movement because of High Sierra and because of mainly the Maltese Falcon, and just that his whole style and his approach changed things,
Hmm.
and that he became he was emblematic of the noir man,
Hmm.
right? That was Humphrey Bogart. Uh, I live by my own code. You're not going to get over on me. He operated kind of outside the law because it was very, very, I always point out to people, very important to remember that Sam Humphrey Bogart never really played a lawman. He played
Hmm.
detectives, and those are guys for hire.
Hmm.
Problem solver for hire is not the same as somebody enforcing the law, right?
Yeah.
So it's a much more noir thing. Now, Jimmy Cagney is an interesting thing because to me, Kagney really only made two films that could remotely be considered noir. It's White Heat and Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye.
Yeah.
And Love Me or Leave Me with Doris Day.
Yeah.
Right. I mean that's a movie that I've shown at Noir City and that I consider kind of a musical noir.
Yeah.
But to me, the most significant thing about these two guys is to me Jimmy Cagney represented. There are two actors who to me represent the 1930s in film, and
Yeah.
it's Lee Tracy and Jimmy Cagney.
Yeah.
Are the two guys who were like,
Yeah.
this is the 1930s in
Yeah.
film. And what did they have in common? They talked fast because it was talkies. And so,
Yeah.
like, talking was at a premium. It's like
Yeah.
he who can talk the fastest will become the biggest star. And that was kind of the deal with these two guys, right? I mean, Cagney was just so amped up, you
Yeah.
know, and Bogart changed all of that
Yeah.
because
That's it.
Bogart wasn't a talker; he was a listener,
Yeah.
and so he was very tight-lipped and taciturn. And to me, that's the transition,
Yeah.
moving from Cagney in the 30s to Bogart in the 40s is when film noir kind of happened, when it took on its verbal style was
Yeah.
much more Bogart than it was Cagney.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, we are Michael, our friend Michael from Post Falls, Idaho.
Post Falls, Idaho. Michael is making Post Falls, Idaho famous,
He
at least
is,
on Ask Eddie. And yeah.
at least here. After Eddie recommended Chester Himes on several occasions, I purchased all 8 of his Harlem Detective series books and read them over a 5-month period. My opinion about the 3 movies based on his works remains the same as when you responded to my question on the subject back in March of 2022. The films fail to capture the hard edge and dark humor of Himes's stories. I've since secured and read Himes's 1966 standalone crime novel, Run Man Run, about a drunk white police detective who kills 2 black porters at a luncheonette and shoots a third. The rest of the novel is a cat and mouse game with the detective attempting to finish off the survivor before the victim convinces everyone the detective is the killer. This would make an excellent psychological thriller, which could be easily adapted, even modernized for the screen. I would be interested in your opinion, provided you've read the book.
Um, I have read the book, and I completely agree with what Michael is saying. I honestly, I don't understand why there hasn't been a Chester Himes revival.
Yeah.
Given that there are more African American film directors than ever before, and writers and actors and craftspeople and everything in the business, like why there hasn't been a Chester Himes renaissance, I don't really know. But I completely agree that if there was a Coffin Ed and Gravedigger are great characters in those books, but um, if you didn't want to, I think that Walter Mosley's books with Easy Rawlins would have made a great series. And Carl Franklin's Devil in a Blue Dress was a great film that should have been the start of a franchise
Yeah.
starring Denzel Washington. But as a standalone noir crime thing, yeah, Run Man Run would be great. And I hope that happens at some point. I think it would be absolutely terrific. So yeah, good for you, Michael, for buying and reading all those books, because they're a treasure, really, in American crime fiction. And I just hard for me to fathom why they haven't had the renaissance that they deserve. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I wish I had the power to make it happen, but make it so. But I can't do that. Okay, Steve from Exeter, New Hampshire, uh, asks, who would you like to see of the following directors to create the perfect period piece neo-noir? Interesting combination of ideas there. Perfect period piece neo-noir. That is to say, in a line of Del Toro's Nightmare Alley or Roman Polanski's Chinatown, which I no longer think of as a neo-noir at all. I mean, It's just like the greatest detective movie ever done. Classic all the way down the line. Style, story, psychological tones, except something added of their own unique creative perspective that furthers the genre in a satisfying way for the 2023. Well, sorry to say, Steve, it's now 2024. That'll show you how backlogged we are on these questions for the 2024 moviegoer. Okay, and this is interesting because Steve lists 5, technically 6 filmmakers on this list, and I'm immensely curious why he picked these 5.
Well,
because they are.
Well, I was just going to say,
especially
the Coen brothers, because they already made a period noir.
They've made several noir films, really.
Period 2 of them are period ones.
Yes. Yeah. And so the first one he puts on the list is the Coen brothers, right? And Miller's Crossing and The Man Who Wasn't There are both period noir films that are arguably kind of both masterpieces in my estimation. I watched The Man Who Wasn't There again recently, and I couldn't have loved that film anymore. I mean, I just not only does it pay all due respect to classic noir in ways that are obvious to fans of the genre through the character names and all that stuff. But I really thought Billy Bob Thornton's performance was amazing in that film. And I don't know, I love that movie, and I know Roger Deakins shot it in color and then they converted it to black and white, but it is absolutely spectacular. Okay, then he says Richard Linklater, and I know Richard Linklater is a huge noir fan. Well, I went to Austin to do a screening of Detour with Ann Savage years ago, and although Linklater wasn't there, he lived in Austin. He had an emissary come and have Ann sign his Detour poster. So I know that Linklater is a hardcore noir fan. I don't think he's done anything noirish at all. That's not his style. Okay, this is interesting. He says Karen Kusama, right? And Karen Kusama, she did Girl Fight. That was her breakout movie, and she's done some other. But she did this picture with Nicole Kidman called Destroyer
Yeah.
that is fantastic. That is completely a noir film and hardcore, and it's like the great uh, underappreciated Nicole Kidman performance. Have you seen this movie? Have you seen Destroyer?
No, it's been on my list forever, but I still haven't watched it.
Okay,
I know that you
yeah,
think really
you got
highly
to
of
see
it.
this movie.
Yeah.
I do. I think very highly of it. It has everything. It's a cop noir. It's scary shit in the past that happens. It unfolds in one of the great flashbacks ever. Um, I just I loved the movie. I thought it was fantastic. Um, it's the most female centric hardcore noir I think I've ever seen. So she's done it. She has done it. He says, "How about Wes Anderson?" Okay, if I was going to pick the last person on earth to make a film noir, it would be Wes Anderson. Right? I
I
mean,
one, totally not his wheelhouse. Two, I friggin' hate him. And but so much, so much. But I would like to just really quickly say that everyone should go to YouTube and type in Saturday Night Live Wes Anderson horror film, because SNL did this one of those, they do these short little films, and it was Wes Anderson directing a slasher film. It's absolutely hilarious. It is so funny.
okay, thank you. Thank you for that. I am definitely going to check that out. Now, I'm going to admit I haven't there are Wes Anderson films that I have liked very
Yes.
much. Um, but I just don't see any connection. I do not think that Wes Anderson has any inclination towards making a noir film. And it would be, if Wes Anderson did that, it would be detested by noir fans because it would be, dare I say, use the word precious. It would be a
Twee.
precious send up of film noir. And I don't know that anybody needs to see it. As
Yeah.
opposed to Karen Kusma's film, which was just bought in completely. I mean,
Yeah.
it was stone cold, serious, hardcore noir, and yeah, I can't. Destroyer. I need to go back and watch again because it knocked me out when I saw it. And then his last one is David Lynch, and it's like, Steve, you have been paying attention, right? I mean, David Lynch has made a number of noir films in his own extremely distinctive
Yeah.
style, right?
He's just
Beginning
never,
with Blue Velvet and
yeah, he's just never set them in a different period.
correct. Thank you for pointing that out
Yeah.
because this was specifically saying a period film. Although there was something that Lynch was involved in that was a period thing once upon a time. I think I can't remember the name of it now. He did it for television. It wasn't Twin Peaks. It was
Oh God, I
although
love that
Twin
show.
Peaks.
That was such a great show. It only ran for it barely ran at all, and I loved that show. It was the TV
Right, it was like a
series.
radio. It was about a radio show, right?
It
Or
was actually a television. I think it was early
a television.
television.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was,
yeah.
and yeah, because actor who is very famous for being on General Hospital, he's really a great actor. He's Scots, was on that show as sort of the station's leading man, I guess you would call it. What was the name of that damn TV show?
I honestly
Cannot remember.
I cannot remember the name of the show. Um, but what I was going to say was the thing that's interesting is that Twin Peaks, when you think about it, it it exists in no particular time frame,
Yep.
right? I
Yep.
mean, it feels like parts of it feel like it's set in the 50s, and then but then there's modern stuff in it as well. I mean, it's Lynch world. I mean, it absolutely has no. It is not tethered to reality or any specific time frame, and
Yeah.
that's what I absolutely love about it. But I think that Mulholland Drive is the greatest noir film of this century,
Yeah.
of the 21st century. So um, Lynch has definitely been doing his noir thing. He just doesn't subscribe to like normal plotting or there's nothing normal about it. So
Yeah.
when Steve says, their own unique creative perspective, I think that kind of defines David Lynch. Uh, but so what I'm going to say is, out of this question, Steve, what I'm taking out of it is, people need to go back and rewatch. I mean, a lot of people know and love Miller's Crossing, but
Yeah.
take another look at The Man Who Wasn't There,
Such a great
because
movie.
it is really, really terrific. I did a deep dive on that film with these two guys who do a podcast about the Coen brothers,
Yeah.
the name of which escapes me right now, but I did it not that long ago. And we talked
And I'll
about
try to
that
link
film.
that in the Facebook comments.
Great, 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 great. And then Destroyer is a must watch for people. And I mean, even if you don't like Nicole Kidman, watch Destroyer because she is fantastic in this movie. And,
Yeah, I
and
mean, I think she's a very good actress. I haven't like been interested in some of her stuff just because whatever she's done is not necessarily like, like the story didn't interest me, but she's a good actress. I mean, maybe people forget that. I mean, she isn't just like a movie
she's
star or something.
fantastic.
She's a really, really good actress. She's not,
Yeah,
yeah.
and she makes a lot. She makes a lot of really interesting
Mhm.
choices. Like, these are
Yeah.
characters I want to play, and you know, I agree. She much more than a movie star. She is not afraid. She doesn't back off from
Hmm.
weird material and challenging stuff. So
Yeah.
I think she's terrific.
Oh, and I just wanted to
Okay.
say something really quick about David Lynch. Is he also, even with the stuff that's like in modern times, a lot of times it's like sometimes like the way the characters dress or what their makeup looks like, but also the way they speak and stuff, you know what I mean? Do feel very classic period. Like even like in Mulholland Drive, there's aspects of that, like that whole sequence when they're in the theater,
Yeah.
listening to the singer. I mean, that felt like that was just could have been right out of the 50s. It didn't necessarily fit
I
feel
completely agree. I don't
tied
I
to the
don't
time. Sorry.
no, I hear exactly what you're saying, because I never I mean, David Lynch's movies are they are born out of the movies that he creates himself, as opposed to like when he's directing something based on a script by somebody else. So I'm leaving out stuff like Dune and The Straight Story and
Yeah.
things like that. When it's his idea, they are born out of the depths of his subconscious, and there is no time frame on that.
Hmm.
I mean, if you watch the whole of Twin Peaks, it's inexplicable. There's no way to say when this is set or what's happening. And I mean, even if you're looking for clues, like what are the makes of the cars, there's stuff like that, it doesn't really matter, because this is just somebody's imagination run riot,
Yeah.
and I don't know if there's been another filmmaker in America that has done that as successfully for so long as David Lynch. And that's what's kind of amazing. When I think back, like, I'm trying to remember, Eraserhead came out in the early 80s, right? I believe Eraserhead, because unless I'm mistaken, I'm thinking that Blue Velvet was like 85 or 86, right? And so Eraserhead was before that. And the
I
fact
mean,
that he has been doing this for as long as he has, I mean, this guy single-handedly made uh, like subconscious surreal cinema mainstream in America.
Yeah,
Single-handedly. Nobody else was doing that. And the success he had with it and the fact that he put Twin Peaks on ABC broadcast television
I know. It's
is
amazing.
is incredible. It's absolutely incredible because that is as weird and perverted and as dark as anything that you could ever watch
Yeah.
in on your home television screen. He somehow got this on one of the three television
I know.
networks in
I
America.
know. It's amazing, isn't
It's,
it?
it is it is phenomenal. It is
Oh,
a cultural landmark, and I can't. I just it's so funny. The other day on Christmas Day, I was thinking, what am I going to watch? And I was screwing around with my streaming stuff, and I came across Twin Peaks, and I just said, I'm going to watch this again. I watched the first episode of Twin Peaks again, and it was just amazing to me. I mean, it still it holds up to this day, and it's now like, what is it? It's like 30 something years old,
yeah. Oh
right? And
God. I guess it is. That's
I
depressing.
can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's like, and and it's still the best thing on television.
Yeah.
you know. So anyway, that's Steve. Thank you for that question. That was a really intriguing question, and I'm glad I got to give a shout out to some favorite overlooked films. Okay,
Okay. So
moving on.
this is John Weber in Tampa. Uh, the series
No,
Schmigadoon.
we missed one. We missed one,
Wait. Oh, we
which
got
will.
nine. Oh God. Okay. Sorry. This is from Mai. Which songs really convey a film noir vibe? Submitted for your approval. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band's Hollywood Nights, which contains his quintessential noir lines. He headed west because he felt that a change would do him good. See some old friends, good for the soul. She had been born with the face that would let her get away. He saw that face and he lost all control. Hashtag angel face.
Yes. And that was a horrible Bob Seger imitation, but that's okay. Uh,
Yeah, I
uh,
wasn't really gonna try.
yeah, I know. Bob Seger isn't actually the first person I think of in terms of noir music. Those lyrics, I definitely get the association with Angel Face. But to my mind, there is no question that the most noir musician in the world is Tom Waits,
Mm-hmm.
and I won't belabor the point, but I will just point out, although this has not been confirmed by Mr. Waits himself, I would strongly suggest that his song "Invitation to the Blues" was written in a burst of inspiration after he had watched the movie Fallen Angel,
Yeah.
because it name checks the characters in the movie. The whole thing, is Fallen Angel. Mercy, Mercy, Mr. Percy, which is a reference to Percy Kilbride, who plays the restaurant, the
Owner.
diner owner, and and the whole thing about, did you get on the bus? Should I stay or should I go? All this stuff, and clearly he's talking about this waitress in a diner who's Linda Darnell in Fallen Angel, and it's fantastic. But the entire Tom Waits songbook is like this epic noir film. I mean, there is no one who has done more noir songs than Tom Waits, and there never will be. I mean, the collected works are this massive, epic, sprawling noir novel, and so that's my answer to that
Okay.
question. there is. It's not even worth talking about second place
Yeah.
because it is Tom Waits. All right, now
Okay.
continue on to the question that you were originally going to read.
Thank you. John Weber in Tampa. Well, you're supposed to read it because it's an even number.
Oh, okay.
You can read it.
The series Schmigadoon, which I have never even heard of.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, I've never even heard of it. Is a fresh idea where a couple accidentally end up in a world where they find themselves in a small town that's actually a musical. That sounds nightmarish to me.
Yeah.
My question has two parts. Eddie and Ann, if suddenly you found yourself in a film noir type of your choosing, oh, it's a film noir, right? What kind of character would you be? And part two, if you were to suddenly show up in an actual film noir, which film would you choose and what character would you be? Two questions are separate and the same answer cannot be used for both. I'm glad that these people like make these very particular demands on us when we answer these questions. You
They're
know,
pretty damn
you
bossy.
cannot use the same answer twice. Okay,
Okay.
so Anne, if you suddenly found yourself in a film noir, what kind of character would you be?
And what type of film noir?
Which I don't like. I don't think you're going to pick like a woman in Jeopardy film noir, that kind of thing. That's not you.
I mean,
You know,
I don't know. I think I see myself like more of um like Lucille Ball in the dark corner. I think that's more who I am as a person. That would be the one that
right
would be
on.
like the most like I could see myself being that kind of sassy girl Friday, you know.
Right
That
on.
that
I
seems
will endorse that.
yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Yes.
Yeah.
I would be the jaded, cynical newspaper reporter.
There you
That's
go.
that's that's exactly who I would be. I mean, I don't. I'm not picking out a specific character in a film noir, but that's the character that I would play. Now, whether or not he's the protagonist or the friend of the protagonist or just a supporting character, that's beside the point, really.
Yeah.
I mean that's the character that I would relate to.
Yeah.
And if it was an actual film noir, which film would you choose and what character would you be? Well, do you have any?
Oh yeah. Sam Spade and the Maltese Falcon. Are you kidding?
All
That's
right, right on,
that's who I want to be.
right on. That's okay. Good. So you don't necessarily want to be Bradford Galt in the dark corner or his girl Friday.
Yeah.
You actually want to be
Oh
Sam
yeah.
Spade. So
Yeah,
good.
if I was gonna get the
Right on.
chance to be, yeah, like to, like body swap or whatever. Yeah, and just be that. Of course, who doesn't want to be Sam Spade and the Maltese Falcon? He's such a smart ass and he's always
Yeah.
a step ahead of everybody and you know.
Well, that's pretty
Yeah.
good. So I guess since we're gender swapping, I guess what should I be Rita Hayworth and Gilda?
Yeah.
Then I could just I could just gaze at myself in the mirror and be perfectly happy, like yeah, I rule. Yeah, okay, that's good. But I don't really since John demanded that I not pick the same character, I guess I can't say I would be, some hard-bitten newspaper reporter in one of these I can't be Alan Ladd in Chicago Deadline or something. Not that that's who I would pick, but I haven't really thought about this too deeply.
Yeah.
But I could see myself being in some respects when I wrote Dark City Dames.
Yeah.
It was a running joke that I felt like Joe Gillis in Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
because I was dealing with all of these, older women who were
Yeah.
actresses, and calling on them and writing their story and all this kind of stuff. So I certainly had that sense of who Joe Gillis was, and at times I very much felt like him. But I can guarantee you that I would not end up shot in the back dead in somebody's swimming pool. I would not be that stupid. So sorry, Joe,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I can't see you
uh,
doing that either
yeah,
somehow.
yeah. I know when the getting is good.
There you go.
Okay. Well, Anne, we actually kind of almost brought this in at like 90 minutes, I guess. So,
Yeah, I think pretty
and we should
close.
and we should tell people,
In case you're wondering.
in case you're wondering, we should tell people that there was a gaffe in the middle of the episode.
Yes,
Uh,
yes. The internet went out upstairs, so I had to run downstairs. I am still in Sugarland, Texas. I am still in my mother's house, but I am in the dining room. So I'm sorry if there's been some ambient noise because the TV is a little loud down here because my mom's hard of
oh,
hearing.
I didn't hear it at all.
Okay, good.
You're probably bothering them more than they're bothering you. So,
Probably. I've been told I talk loud.
yeah, well, that's okay. That's okay. So I've noticed a few times you're dealing with someone else now that you're downstairs.
Uh,
But we got through this episode, this year-ending episode, even though this is airing, I guess, on January
it's our first
4th.
of the. It's the first of our. It's the last of the. Our last recording of the year. The first broadcast of the year. The
Okay,
next
very
year.
good.
Anyway,
And
no, just
go
everybody
ahead, please.
go to noircity.com and buy tickets and passes for the festival.
Absolutely. And I
had
just
to do
want
it one more
to,
time.
very good, Ann. And I just want to thank everybody. Uh, when I'm out on the road doing the NOIR City film festivals and stuff, it's so delightful to hear from people that I don't know at all, who say, they watch all the time. Please give Anne my regards. We love Anne. She's so great, and I have a whole bunch of Christmas gifts here that I owe you,
Okay.
that people
Wow.
send to the Film Noir Foundation address, and a lot of this stuff is for you.
Oh, thank
So
you, everybody.
it'll be a good excuse for us to get together, so I can give you
Yeah.
your spoils, and we are committed to doing this on a regular basis going forward in 2024.
Yeah.
And I guess lastly, I just want to wish everybody, a very happy New Year.
Yeah.
Even though the New Year has come and gone, uh, we greatly appreciate how supportive everybody is of this, and it's very gratifying.
Yeah, and it's been really great, just all the support we've gotten for the show. I really appreciate people tuning in so regularly. And, we've also, because there is so much like Columbo love in the comments of the Ask Eddie section, Doug Grieve and I have started a Columbo group, and we will be watching every episode of Columbo. So if you just go to Just One More Thing, the Columbo experience, and you would like to join us on our madness of getting together via Zoom and watching the Columbos together, feel free to join us there. But that was inspired by just the back and forth in the Facebook comments. This is where that idea came from, and I just really appreciate the people that watch us live every time and comment on what's going on, and it's really appreciated. It makes it really
Great.
fun to do, and also
Yeah.
thank you to people who watch it on YouTube, and who have subscribed to our channel and who like and share the videos, because that really helps us spread the word about things. So thank you for all the support we've gotten on Facebook and on YouTube. I appreciate it greatly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, as do I, and I promise we will continue this all in 2024, and we'll keep it as low tech as possible.
It's our pledge to you.
It's our pledge that we will not get too fancy schmancy. We'll just keep it very low tech and conversational, and like genuine people doing this. So, uh,
That's,
and I wish you happy holidays. Greetings to your family. Thank them for me for indulging us, that giving up your time when you're back home to do this. And I'll see you in the new year.
yes. And hopefully we're going to be back in 2 weeks. We're really going to try and stick our 2 week schedule. So
Okay.
good luck. Okay.
Very good. Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Good night.